Hello, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Dalsan TV English News. My name is Abdelrazak Ali and we have a lot lined up for you on this day of 26th August 2022. But first, let's have a look at the headlines. Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre has visited the internally displaced persons IDPs camp in Beledweyne town. Somalia's Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre on Thursday toured the Somali army bases in Beledweyne to get first-hand information on the situation on the ground. At least 4 people have reportedly been killed, including 2 children, by an Ethiopian Air Force airstrike on the capital of Ethiopia's northern Tigray region on Friday. Good evening once again. My name is Abdelrazak Ali. Somali Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre has visited internally displaced persons IDPs living in Beledweyne town to assess the living conditions of the Somali people ravaged by the devastating drought in the region.
Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre has visited the internally displaced persons IDPs camp in Beledweyne town to assess the situation and the living condition of the Somali people ravaged by the devastating drought in the region. Prime Minister Hamza interacted with the locals in the camps in a bid to get a first-hand information and understanding about the dire situation on the ground. The Premier reaffirmed his government's commitment to fast-track and bolster coordination of humanitarian assistance to the people living in the camp. He interacted with the displaced families and reaffirmed his government's commitment to fast-track coordination of emergency response to the affected areas. Hamza was appalled by the plight and the living conditions of the internally displaced persons and pledged to address the situation in the area. The Prime Minister was accompanied by Hirshabelle State Leader Ali Goodlawe, Defense Minister Abdulkadir Mohamed Noor, and high-level officials from the federal government and the Hirshabelle State. Prime Minister Hamza Barre arrived in Beledweyne town on Thursday and met with the state leaders, among other state officials.
Somalia's Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre on Thursday toured Somali army bases in Beledweyne town to get first-hand account on the situation on the ground.
Somalia's Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre on Thursday toured the Somali army bases in Beledweyne to get first-hand account of the situation on the ground. The Prime Minister, who was accompanied by Hirshabelle State Leader Ali Goodlawe, the Defense Minister Abdulkadir Mohamed Noor, Somalia's Chief of the Defense Forces, General Yusuf Odowa Rage, among other senior government officials, commended the army for their courage, commitment and sacrifice in pursuing Al-Shabaab and regularly flushing them out of their hideout. Premier Hamza assured the troops that the government will do whatever it takes to make their tasks easier by addressing all their needs. He encouraged the forces to intensify their efforts to eradicate the militants from the country. Earlier in Beledweyne, the Minister of Defense, the Somali military chief, Hirshabelle leader and other officials briefed the Prime Minister on the situation of the war against the militant. The Premier's visit to Beledweyne comes as the Somali military and local militia known as Mawisley have been collaborating on anti-Al-Shabaab operations in the area for the past 2 months. Military, alongside the local militia, liberated 150 kilometers north of Halgan district in the Hiran region from Al-Shabaab. The most recent operation by the Somali military targeted Al-Shabaab positions. In the Hiran region's north and east.
A delegation led by Somalia's Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre on Thursday traveled to Tunisia to attend the Africa-Japan Partnership Summit. The summit is organized by the government of Japan, the United Nations Development Programme (UNDP), the World Bank and the African Union Commission. The 8th TICAD summit will highlight the close connection between Japan and Africa, as well as set out a pathway for African development looking ahead to the post-pandemic era. It will comprise the plenary sessions and the Japan-Africa Business Forum. It will be attended by the African heads of state, the Japanese government, as well as representatives of the private sector such as the Japan Business Federation, Japan Association Corporate Executives, and others. Also forming part of the program will be presentation of the Hideo Noguchi Africa Prize. The main purpose of the prize is to honor individuals and organizations with outstanding achievement in fields of medical research and medical services to combat infectious and other diseases in Africa, thus contributing to the health and welfare to the African people and all of humankind. At least 4 people have been killed, including 2 children, by an Ethiopian Air Force airstrike on the capital of Ethiopia's northern Tigray on Friday. Kebron Gebreselassie, the chief executive of Aidar Hospital, said the airstrike had hit the children's playground. Several people have been wounded and admitted at the hospital with wounds. This comes days after fighting resumed between the national government and Tigray forces on the border of Tigray regions. Thank you so much for watching Dalsan TV English News. My name is Abdirazak Ali. Till we meet again.